about the amount of racism that most Indian people have towards black people.
Oh, it's really bad in the South Asian community. The racism towards black people is unbelievable, how they're viewed, how they're treated. Even if you're a Muslim, by the way, like I've noticed a lot with South Asian Muslims, they even dislike black Muslims. It's disgusting, okay? And that's not a reflection of Islam, by the way. That's just a reflection of this community. The community that I'm from, so I can speak confidently on this. Yeah, the racism is disgusting. And this is something that a lot of people don't know. Mahatma Gandhi wasn't fighting for freedom for everyone. He was fighting so that brown people were treated better than black people, okay? Black people are seen as low in the South Asian community. Put it this way, if the darker you are in the South Asian community, the uglier you are seen, which isn't true, obviously, but that's just the way it's seen. So there's a lot of internal racism. Brown people love white people. I say they love white people. They hate black people, but they will kiss the white master, the one that literally put them through slavery and everything. It's a bit odd. And the people that have it the worst in the South Asian community, brown women. Brown women that are seeing people outside of their culture who are black. There have been so many cases here in the UK where young South Asian women have been killed because they were with a black person. Okay? So yeah, brown women have it so much worse when they're dating a black person. But yeah, there's so much racism. This guy's right. He has every right to be upset. I apologize. It's horrendous. And it's true. As much as we're all going to sit and be like, no, it's not true. It is.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren and I'm Maureen. Yeah, so in today's episode, you're going to be reacting to a video of a black South African man who was accusing Indians in their country of being racist. And let's get it clear, guys, it's not only in South Africa. Even here in Kenya, there has been allegations of Indians being racist towards the black community in the particular said country. Yeah, so please leave us a comment on what you think about this topic and this episode. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, please kindly remember to do so. Let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it.
One day when the country is no longer facing an economic crisis, or one day when the country is free of corruption, when we are ready to talk, when you are ready to sit down and talk about real-time issues that we are facing, we'll be able to sit down and talk about the amount of racism that most Indian people have towards black people. This might not be a popular opinion, but I know whoever's watching this video knows what I'm talking about. This thing has been going on for the longest time and people are not addressing it. Instead, we sweep it under the carpet. But it's been going on for the longest time. And I'm not talking about just the recent incidents that happened in Phoenix, the Phoenix massacre or anything. I'm talking about a lot of things. It's been happening for the longest time. How many times have you met one of your brother or sister or auntie or even your neighbor who works for Indians or who works in Makishini or my Indians? How many times have you heard them talk about how evil they are, how badly they treat black people, how much they see us as slaves or animals instead of human beings? This thing hasn't been addressed in South Africa for the longest time. People don't want to talk about it. I don't know, maybe it's because of the affiliation that the government has, or the former government, as they said, has with certain Indian businessmen and business people. Ask anybody who works for Indian people how much racist they are. One day we'll be able to sit down and discuss that issue, that dilemma. We'll be able to talk about the disease, the hatred that most Indian brothers and sisters have for fellow black people. Like, I really don't understand this. I don't know. History people will correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as history books are concerned, black people, Indian people, colored people, we were all the same in the eyes of the oppressor, our former apartheid government. We were all the same.
I'm gonna keep it real with the black community. A lot of brown uncles don't like you.
I think by now we live in a world where black people know that anti-blackness exists in all cultures globally. And this is not revolutionary. I'm gonna talk about an instance. My half-brother got married with a Anglo-Indian. This story has relevance because I firsthand witnessed anti-blackness from the now ex-wife, shocker, they got divorced, family when we first met them. The first thing they said to us when we first found out that my half-brother was dating, their daughter, was usually, our daughter would never go for these type of people. So at first they were not accepting, which is pretty much what they said. And then they came around, they're like, I guess we can make it happen. Because obviously they're Anglo-Indian. So culturally they still practice their culture, but they've adapted to the westernized way of thinking. of allowing other people from different cultures and ethnicities getting involved in their family. And obviously when I heard this, I was so confused and I was quite shocked when I heard this come out of their mouths, because I'm like, why is there such a big disdain for people of African ancestry and anti-blackness of not wanting to date another person because they are black? I can understand culturally, but if you're just going to base it on their skin tone and race, that is just plain out racism. But hey, I think conversations like these are important, but never do I see a lot of people address anti-blackness, specifically from a lot of South Asian creators, which I would love to see. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, but then again, it's nothing shocking. It's something that a lot of us people know.
Sit down and talk about the amount of racism that most Indian people have towards black people.
I wasn't going to stitch this video because I've made many videos talking about racism in our community, but I've seen a lot of stitches on this video and Indian people saying, well, it's not all Indian people. Yeah, we know that, black people know that, but it's a lot of us. So they are valid to say Indian people are racist. And can you honestly tell me, how would your family react if they know you're dating a black person? I also saw someone say, well, black people are racist to us too. Two wrongs don't make a right, but I'm also having a hard time believing that you know that many black people. And you're probably just making this assumption from like two black people that were nice to you. So like, well, they're racist to us too. We as Indian people need to acknowledge how we are wrong and apologize and change. We literally have come through apartheid together and somehow we're still divided. It doesn't make sense.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode, right? So personally, what I have to say about this is that I can only imagine what black people in Africa have to go through before they come out and speak about against these atrocities. Because in Africa, you know, I feel like people are used to being quiet when things happen to them because of the lack of employment in these particular countries. I'll take Kenya for example. When you find a black person working for Indians, they don't normally speak against these at least formally, and racism and, you know, discrimination. Yeah, they don't speak up about them because they're in fear of losing their jobs. But you know, it's these quiet cultures that make such behaviors become loud. And guys, when I tell you okay, what our parents told us about Indians, they're not such good things, because I remember a story that my own mother told me that when they were working for Indians, in the old days, at least nowadays it's better, the way they used to pay them, the Indians never used, and you know, back in those days there weren't these services for money transfers. Money transfers is where you can electronically send somebody money through to their phone. So those systems were not there. It means Indian people had to hand down money to black people. And what my mom told me is that they never used to do that. They would slide if they owe you something, or if you go to their shop and buy something, if you have change that you're expecting to be given back, they would throw it on the counter like that, and then you yourself have to reach out and take the money. Yeah, but they didn't used to transact with black people on their hands. And you know, when you talk about this, it reminds me of the colonial era, when black people normally said that white people, you weren't allowed your skin wasn't allowed to come into contact with a white man. If they were handing something, they would throw it there so that you could collect, but you are not allowed to get into contact with these people. And basically that is how Indians also behave here in Africa, and it's quite sad. And also another issue is that for the same position, let's say if it's an Indian owned company, for the same position a black has against an Indian person, they are not paid the same. An Indian person would be paid higher and a black person would be paid much less for the same position. So when this South African man is talking, let's just say I do understand where he's coming from. Right. And some might argue that Indians should stop their racist tendencies and join black people, because at the end of the day, we all have a common enemy, which is white supremacy. Although the only problem with that is I wouldn't really encourage black people to become one with Indians. This is because Indians are not yet ready to look at themselves as people of color. So long as Indians can have that adjacency to white supremacy by denying black people. They will continue doing these atrocities to black people just so they cannot be categorized or classified with as being the same as black people. So if they can mistreat black people so that they can gain a pedestal that will earn them advantage or favor with the white supremacists, I feel like that is what they'll always choose until they're ready to face the real issue at hand here.
Yeah, there was that Indian fellow who said on the first clip, the first guy who said in Indian communities, the darker you are, that is what they consider ugly. The darker you are, the uglier you are, meaning they can't find anything beautiful in a dark person. And imagine that is their very own community.
Yeah, but you know, guys, someone once said that something that has a beginning must have an end. You know, the generation of our people, black people, people of color, and everybody else who are oppressed by the white people, those generations are slowly fading out of the picture, and I am quite what is it called? I'm quite optimistic that once all the generation that was oppressed and their brains were worked on real good to fear and put white people on a pedestal, once that generation goes away and this new Gen Zs and the other generations who see themselves as equal and they value themselves, once that generation grows up and starts valuing themselves, more of these Indian racism cases will end and Indians will stop doing whatever they're doing to be adjacent to white people, is what I feel. And who unto these white children who are not taught the real history of what they did to black people, because they'll be really shocked they're expecting themselves to be the center of attention of every people in the world while everybody in the world is moving on. I don't know how they'll cope with that.
Well, I feel like it will be a long journey for us to get to that point. It's going to be a long journey because there's people who are our age mates in the Indian community who still hold the same views as their old grandparents. So I still feel like so long as their aunties, those brown aunties in their community and brown uncles will be telling them to not play in the sun during summer because they're gonna get dark, so long as their mom is there to tell them not to marry a black man or woman because they don't have black grandbabies, I don't feel like that is a problem that is just going to go away anytime soon, you know.
Yeah, so guys, let us know what you think about this episode, and you can also consider subscribing if you've not, and we'll see you on our next episode.